The world is moving a lot faster. What are we doing to change the processes that are currently in our department?
It's easy to say use AI, but not provide them with what they can do, especially if you're in a regulated industry.
My guests today are Cassandra Lang and Lorena Malavet, marketers at Baptist Health. Cassandra has spent the last 5 years building and scaling their marketing tech stack, leading the implementation of Workfront and expanding into Fusion, AEM, and planning. Lorena focuses on operations and creative execution, working closely with Cassandra to evolve team processes, drive adoption, and translate new tools into day-to-day impact. Together, they've been early explorers of AI inside their organization, not just adopting it, but rethinking how work actually gets done. From improving workflows to building a more connected content supply chain, bringing AI in where it drives real impact. Because this episode isn't about tools, it's about the structure, habits, and culture needed to make AI actually stick. So let's get into it. This is Thinking with AI. Cassandra and Lorena, welcome to Thinking with AI. I've been so excited for our conversation because you both are part of the marketing organization at Baptist Health, and I love what you two have been doing, taking courses, tinkering, building AI fluency before AI slop, which is surprising since you're in the healthcare industry and it's very regulated. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. With that, I wanted to start broad because I think AI literacy is one of those phrases that gets thrown around a lot, and I'm sure everyone means the same thing when they say it. So, would love to hear from you too. When people say AI literacy, what are they actually describing? How are you two defining it? And how is it different from just knowing how to use a tool?
Susan, thank you so much again for inviting us over for this podcast. I know our conversation began a few months ago, and it began with talking about AI literacy and the efforts that our department had embarked on to get everyone through AI literacy courses. And with that being said, to answer your question, for me, AI literacy is not something that's finite. It's not something that you're going to do a course and that's it. I know AI. It's something that is evolving daily. Every single day you see on the news that a new model has come up, or you can do something new, or Claude has done this, or Anthropic and ChatGPT and all the things that you can do. It's evolving, and so must your education. You have to continuously take time from your work and from your personal life to learn how these tools can affect your future for the good and affect your future for the negative. And I think we've come to a point in our careers where it's a must, whether you like it or not, whether you want to fight it or not. You have to learn about AI. You need to learn how to use the tool and how to use it appropriately, how to use it to amplify your work, not to deter you or not to replace you, because that's not what we're looking to do. We're looking to find better ways to use it so that our workflows are implemented better. We have smoother connections and not to create gaps between our communications and the rest of our teams, but actually, how can we use AI to connect us and to work better together?
I love that.
Yes. So I will add my scoop of that because to Cass's point, I guess I want to thank you again. So, thank you for having us, Susan. I was really looking forward to this conversation, and I'm grateful that I get to have this conversation with Cassandra as we get to work together here at Baptist Health South Florida. So, to agree with her point, I think AI literacy is being able to use AI as a tool, but also responsibly. So, I think we've had the opportunity at Baptist Health South Florida to take the courses and to also get the chance to play with the tools. So our team has done a great job at giving us the tools, following compliance, and really pushing us to create our own use cases where we can not only improve our workflows but share it with other teams and eventually help them create either the same project or improve their workflows using another tool.
Got it. No, I love that you're both describing what it means to you, and I really want to get into the meat of it. So what does it actually take to build? Because I think we can all agree lunch and learns aren't enough. What does that look like? What does meaningful AI literacy actually look like, especially for you two, right, at Baptist, beyond a one-time training? What do you think you've done right, and what are you doing differently, would you say?
I think I will start by saying we have been blessed with having amazing leadership that is really forward focused, and we're thinking about the future, and we're thinking in ways of how can we improve and do things better. So from the very beginning, before letting anybody experiment, they took it upon themselves to say, "Hey, this is coming. How can we create a governance? How can we create a program so that we're all following it and it doesn't turn into this thing where everybody's using something different, everybody's going at different speeds and different levels." It was decided from the beginning that everybody was going to go through a specific course. We all had the same opportunities, we all had the same deadlines, and we all had certain objectives that we had to meet. In addition to that, the creation of an AI council within our department, which I believe was key. And one of the important things about the AI Council, first they were leading the path when it comes to AI literacy. They took the course before we did. They knew what to expect, and at the same time, it's not the AI Council wasn't supposed to be this regulating body that was going to control everything, but rather they were very open to listening to what we were doing and on a personal level and what we had tried and seeing ways that we could responsibly bring that into the organization. So it all started with a very broad, let's all take this course, let's learn what AI is, what AI isn't, and then as we went through those courses, then we were able to get more in depth. And one of the first things that they did is they bought the enterprise solution for ChatGPT, and they allowed us to use LLM. They had obviously the lunch and learns, which we had weekly, and then we had a specific channel in Slack where everybody could just talk about AI and what they were trying. So it wasn't a single thing, it was just a bunch of small little things that we all did together. And at the end of the day, we got our AI certification. But like I said at the beginning, by all means, that doesn't mean that that was the end of it. We are all expected to individually set our own objectives. And yes, some of us are going faster than others. Some of us like to experiment a little bit more than others. But at the end of the day, is having the opportunity to share those experiences with the rest of the team and use the opportunity to teach others. Hey, I did this, I tried this, maybe you want to try this yourself. So it all began with leadership, but at some point it becomes a personal goal and a personal responsibility to go and teach yourself and keep yourself updated with what's happening.
Wow. No, that's amazing, and would love to hear, Lorena, any thoughts you have, but have a couple of follow-ups because you just said a lot and I want to unpack some of it.
Yeah, actually, I think the way Cass put it was perfect. I mean, I'm grateful that we work together in the same team and the same department. So we both have experienced the same level of work from the leadership team down to us. And I just wanted to emphasize a little bit more on that because I've had the opportunity to see it from our CMO. So which funny enough, Cass mentions, it becomes our personal goal as well. And now we have a whole AI book club that one of our
Wow.
leaders started. And that goes back to a personal goal, right? You're not forced to join this book club, but you get the opportunity to join it if you want to grow more in that area, through with your coworkers. But I had the opportunity to sit next to my CMO. And I think that a lot of companies, maybe they don't have this level of connection with the leadership where they get to learn directly from them what is working for them, along with you sharing what's working for you. And then also knowing that they are very invested, at least for my personal experience, it pushes me to continue investing even more because I know how busy leadership is, and knowing how busy they are and knowing that they've taken the time to really learn a tool, to really invest in the tool, and then give us the same roadmap that they've used or even a better one, right? They were probably just thrown in there. We're not just getting thrown in there. We're given a roadmap. And that has helped me a lot. I mean, I was so shocked when I sat next to her in the AI book club. I was like, wow, what an amazing opportunity because in that room, everybody's like, all right, let's share AI. Like, let's talk about this book and let's just share. There's no rules and there's no right or wrong answers.
I love this idea of an AI book club. So, can you describe that a bit more? Is it literally a book club on just reading different pieces and books on AI and then coming together and sharing? Or can you walk me kind of through that? I've never, this is the first time I'm hearing of this and I love it.
Well, no, that's awesome because I think it was a great initiative from one of our leaders. And he's I mean, he's been, I think, like taking the torch, along the entire department where he's really leading this alongside other people, but he's one of the main leaders that are really encouraging us to try different tools and he's constantly sharing information with us. So he created this AI book club. And we had around 20 people that joined. So we selected one book, and from there, we had like a month and a half to read it. Some people did the physical copy, some people did the audiobook, and then we were able to sit and talk about it in that meeting. So that was our first book club. And it was cool because a lot of people hadn't been in a book club before. So it was like their first time in a book club, and then it was obviously the first time in an AI book club. That was my first time in an AI book club, and anything AI, like round table, open discussion about a book that we've read. So technically a book club. So it was really fun, but it was also just great because we got to see people from different teams, right? So it wasn't just talk about how this is working in your work life, but talk about how this is like applicable to anything that you're doing on a daily. So it was great. And we got to share tips, we got to answer each other's questions. So I think it was a really good initiative that this leader started. And I would encourage it goes along with the AI literacy. I would encourage other teams to really push for an AI book club in their
Yeah.
organization.
Wow. No, that's great. So it sounds like everyone, at Baptist Health is very AI forward. It sounds like you guys have a very strong leadership C-suite team that is encouraging, different parts of the org to start tinkering, building this like huge culture of experimentation. And it sounds like leadership is also invested and, using these tools alongside their people, which I think is amazing. My question to you both is where do you think these efforts really stall when it comes to different organizations? Do you think it is leadership buy-in, or is it time, or is it resources, or is it maybe something else that's harder to name? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that we live in this very particular bubble because we are in the healthcare industry, but our department is marketing, so we are really not touching anything that has to do with patient information, right? Although we are in a connected sphere, so there's obviously a lot of technical safeguards that we had to partake in, right? So we had to bring our T&D technology and digital team on board and make sure that we presented what we were trying to do. So I think a lot of companies kind of stall in the fact that there's a lot of unknowns with AI, how you're sharing this information, how this could potentially affect customers or patients in our case. So there's a lot of regulation in certain industries. So a lot of it stops there. A lot of it stops in legal. We're looking at these contracts. Again, it's very hard to govern AI when it's ever evolving. It changes every single day. So you think you're protected today, and then tomorrow they change something. Now you have to go back to the drawing board, right? So again, we live in this very particular bubble in which we're allowed to experiment a little bit more than maybe other industries, other organizations. that are not structured in the same way. But and I get it. It's difficult. I try to put myself sometimes I'm like, "Oh, IT is stopping us from doing all these things," and you want to get upset, but you put yourself in the shoes of IT and understanding, there's been a ton of cyber attacks. There's been a ton of issues with privacy and the security of the data of everyone. So we have to understand that, and we have to take the right measures. We have to make sure that what we're doing is still within the confines of we're being responsible, we're being safe, and none of this information is going outside of our very particular environments that have been set up by the organization. And that might be the case for some industries. In some cases, I have seen that, again, there's a fear of the unknown, a fear of, I don't know if AI is going to take over my job. I don't know if I don't know how it works. And because I don't know how it works, then I don't want to use it, or I don't want my team to use it yet. So there's different reasons why it stalls, right? But I would encourage everyone to there's a ton of resources out there that you can go and read about AI. And it's not just ChatGPT, it's not just LLMs. There's a ton of different use cases for AI, and AI is nothing that's new. AI has been happening since the 60s. So there's different ways that you can apply AI, that it's not just LLM and sharing your data out there. Just get yourself educated and start small, start with little things that you can use it for, and then start growing bigger. But the biggest thing that I have seen stalling is just fear. That's the biggest one.
Have a tip or recommendation for someone, let's say they don't have leadership buy-in. Let's hope at this point in 2026, every organization has strong leadership that wants their people using these tools, addressing kind of the leadership piece and maybe just like the fear piece. How would you say, or what would you say is the best way to get educated when when there's fear involved and when there isn't strong leadership buy-in?
You can take all the courses in the world. I actually did a certification at the university for AI, but really, there is absolutely nothing that's going to prepare you for the use of AI than actually sitting in your computer. And use your personal computer. Please, by all means, don't use any data from your organization, but use it for your own personal use. Try to automate little tasks at home and see how it can help improve your life, and build a case. Build a case that you can present to your leaders. And actually, you can use AI to build a case. You can build a presentation, you can build animations, you can do all sorts of things to tell the story of how AI can improve your work and the way that you're doing work, and present it. The worst thing that can happen is that they'll tell you no, right? But I think that if you present a very compelling story of how your team or your organization or a specific project can be amplified, it can be done faster, it can be done better with fewer resources, I don't think anyone's going to tell you no, right? It's going to be something. Just have to present your case. You have to do a sales pitch, right? And if you find something that's great, if you find a great course, present it too. Say, hey, I think our organization or our department could really take advantage of this course. It's sometimes it'll come from leadership, sometimes it just comes from people uh, below that are just saying like, hey, let's bring this up. I have had the blessing, if you want to call it that way, that I had leaders that actually really listened to me, and when I propose something, they're like, "Hey, that was a great idea," and sometimes they just make it happen. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but don't don't think that this has to come from leadership. It can start with you.
I think that's so important. And I think you're right. You're spot on. It doesn't have to come from leadership. I think if you personally want to get educated, there are so many resources out there. Of course, courses, but I mean, even going on X, right? You're just seeing all these people post just insane hot takes, but also best practice tips, or they're sharing projects that they've done. Lorena, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to Kaz's point, not everybody is as blessed as we are with the leadership that we have, because it's truly a blessing. I will say, at least from my side, I've been able to talk to other people in other organizations and see where they are at with AI as an organization, and they're not where we are as an organization, right? Provided the resources and the tools and the roadmaps, because I do believe that giving the team a roadmap is giving them that runway to, this is what you could do because this is what the future looks like. So it gives us the opportunity to learn it for our team, but also for ourselves and our future jobs, right? And our future roles. So I wanted to just emphasize on the personal growth. I do think it's important to build that use case, to Cass's point, for something that will be improved for your team and then show it, right? But you understanding who you're showing it to will help you either get the answer that you're looking for, um, or pass it on to the next leader. And I think maybe understanding like the result that you got, maybe you don't have to show how you got there. You can show the result that you got. And if that leader cares about the result, great, you move on, right? Like then they'll want to invest in it. There's other leaders that maybe they're not interested in only the result. They want to understand how you got there so that they can provide those tools to the other people, to the other team members. But I just think maybe knowing like who that leader is and how to make a point with your use case would be really helpful. And then eventually, I think at the leadership level, there's a lot of influence like from one leader to the other. And I think if you can get this leader to talk to this leader, they're at the same level, I think that will be helpful, right? Because sometimes you can feel like you're down here where maybe you'll never get to talk to the CMO, but if you present a good use case, that will lead to the CMO eventually, hopefully, right? Like I said, not everybody's as blessed as we are, but
Okay, one more like follow-up before we move on here. I'm really curious. So again, amazing leadership at Baptist Health. It sounds like you've been doing this for quite some time. You mentioned this roadmap. I'm really curious to understand, what did this roadmap look like? Was this built for the marketing organization specifically, or was it across different orgs? You've been really focused on getting educated on AI, not just using tools, but really understanding like concepts and, just like frameworks in general, aside from like, oh, I'm going to use this tool. How are you measuring whether AI literacy is actually improving? Because you mentioned some people are moving a lot quicker than others. Or I'm just curious to understand, are people just going through the motions? How does your leadership think about that?
I just wanted to quote something that our CMO said earlier this month, and she talked about performative compliance. It's like
Hmm.
you are all together and everybody's saying like, yeah, 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 we all have to use AI, but it's all a performance because when the time comes, you're not actually using it. So measuring that AI literacy to see how we're evolving and how we're doing. We're in the marketing department, KPIs, right? We have to measure our if our investment was actually useful. So we have different tools, but I think the first one is we made AI literacy as part of our yearly goals. So it's part of our goals that we need to meet certain criteria, right? So we had to work with our teams and we had to draft some objectives of what we're going to work on this year and how we're going to implement AI to help us achieve that. So that is definitely one way that we're going to measure this at the end of the fiscal year. We're going to look at what everybody did and see if we all met that goal, right? So at a very high level, we're measuring this. But then more as a peer, how we measure these things is we have, I believe these are happening quarterly. The AI Council is sending out surveys to measure how we're using AI, what kind of sort of projects we're working on. So that kind of takes the temperature on how everybody's feeling, on how everybody's doing. And the great news is that we started at I barely use it. And then we had another one where I don't know, 50% of the people are saying we're using it weekly. And now I think we're like what was it, Lore? Like 97% I'm using this daily
Wow.
for work. So that's amazing. We know that people are using it and they're taking this very, very seriously. Now, in terms of the courses that we have to take for AI literacy, we had one that was very specific to our department, and it was built for us. And again, because we live in this particular bubble of marketing, we're not handling any patient data. It was very specific to us and very specific to the marketing department. Now, we did have to take one as an organization. So, for the entire Baptist Health employees, we had to take a more global AI literacy course. And again, it talked about we are living in a regulated industry. We have to be careful. We have to understand. So it's not just something that our department's doing. And we do have an AI council within our department, but we also have an AI council for the entire organization. And this AI council kind of reports to that one. And what I love about our organization AI council is that it's not a very specific group of people with specific talents or specific skills. This is multidisciplinary. So you have someone from IT, you have someone from marketing, you have someone from operations, you even have someone from the medical team. So it's
Wow.
looking at our global organization and how AI can help us, but also build that governance of how AI can be used in the organization. So it's not something that's just our department. It's something that we're really thinking about as an entire organization. And we build those programs specific to the teams that are going to be using it.
Wow, that's amazing. And honestly, that is a perfect segue into talking about this idea of AI counsel. It keeps coming up, I think, especially in the enterprise space, talking to a lot of different practitioners, they keep bringing it up. And honestly, I've seen it mean very different things in different organizations. Sometimes it can be pretty functional, but other times I'm seeing it as kind of just this fancy new name and new, title and team. So I really want to unpack that. Can you explain or can you tell us what is an AI council at Baptist Health and how is it different from a center of excellence or just any other committee?
I think what's very unique about our particular AI council in the marketing department is that it's not something that is static. It's not a group of people. It's not an echo chamber, right? That we're all kind of sharing the same ideas. It's something that we keep rotating. So it's not always the same
Mm,
group of people that are within the council. And the great thing about that is that you get to hear something fresh. I,
mm.
I believe we're changing members every year. We
Wow.
always have the core our core leaders that are always there because they're at the end of the day they're making those decisions about which programs we're going to invest on and which technology we're going to invest on. But everyone else that is within the council, we're able to rotate it. And again, it's not just like the people who know about the martech team who knows about technical stuff. No, you have someone from communications, you have someone who handles PR or our blog, or you have someone from our multimedia team. Because again, AI is this, it has so many use cases that you can't just say, oh, just let the tech team handle it. There are so
Mhm,
many tools that we have to implement that unless I bring a very specific person that's going to the super user, if I don't bring them in and I don't listen to what they're trying to do, then I can't really implement that to improve his job. I don't know what his job is. I don't know the amount of work that he has to put into it. So it's so important to bring the right people at the right time. And again, it can't be static. It can't get stale. You have to bring new ideas and you have to bring new people and different use cases to the table. So that's what I love about a console. Lore, I don't know if you have any additional.
Yeah, I was just gonna add to that we there was an established there were established guidelines provided to the entire marketing department, and it's this book of how to use AI responsibly, what to do and what not to do, and it's like the guidelines that adds to that roadmap, right? It's an additional layer, as part of that roadmap of how to get us to where we want to be with AI as a department, and then of course as an organization. But I think to Cass's point, what's great about it is it's really a group of people that are sharing what's coming from their team as well. And as somebody who I am not part of the AI council, right? But I feel confident if I go and approach someone from the AI council with a question. Should I do this? Is this something we can do? Is this compliant or is this not? So I think one of the biggest responsibilities of an AI council is not to roadblock, but it's really to open the doors to allow people to feel comfortable, going to them to ask them a question about AI. And then, having this open dialogue of this is what I did. Can I share this with my team? Can you maybe share this with everybody, right? Because maybe you discover something that's going to help everybody. So I think, at least from what I've seen and what I've been able to experience, it's a group of people who are really taking it on, being the leaders and kind of really creating this bubble of information that is then distributed to everybody, and the doors are open for you to have a conversation and approach them about AI. So it's like an open dialogue. Another really big responsibility of the AI council is to keep the guardrails, like to actually help people understand, like, if you want your team to use AI, you do need to provide some kind of guardrails on how they can use AI, because it's easy to say use AI, but not provide them with what they can do, especially if you're in a regulated industry. So that has been critical, I think, in our department. And it's really coming from leadership down. So that was part back to answering that question of AI council.
This is so great, honestly, and I'm excited for our listeners because I mean, there's so much goodness here, and I think I love the multiple functions that are included in the AI council, and it's not just limited to like one part of the org. So I think that's really amazing, and that's how you learn from different people across like different functions. And I think even the role of a marketer is going to change in the future with AI. I think like the worker in tech is going to be well versed in all types of functions. I predict that. But quick question based on what you just said, which I think is interesting. Because there are so many different people cross-functionally involved in this AI council and you're changing members every year, would you say it has like changed your culture at Baptist Health? If so, like how? And when I say culture, it's more on like experimentation with AI and learning like new use cases. I'm just curious to kind of hear your thoughts on that.
I would say that it has definitely changed we have an amazing culture, I should say. We really work as a family in the department, and everybody, we have a very collaborative environment. But in the way that has changed is, we're starting to question the way things were done in the past, and we're starting to think like, hey, maybe there's a better way of doing things, right? And I think that's where we're at the moment. We just went through an entire year and a half of learning about AI and learning how to use it, and kind of just using it in a very conservative way. We're like, I am I allowed to do this? Or, oh, look, you can create your own GPT. Oh, you can create your own project. But now it's like, okay, how can we expand this, right? How can we really apply all of this to our actual workflows? And I think that's where we're at right now. Everybody's saying like, okay, the world is moving a lot faster. What are we doing to change the processes that are currently in our department? And I think we're at that crux, right? We're at that point where it's no longer, okay, we're focusing on literacy. It's like now we want to take it a step further, right? And that's where our team comes in. Lore and I have been working day and night trying to figure out how can we use AI to connect all of the different tools that we have in the department. How can we get better connections and get better workflows? So I think that's where our culture is changing. Now it's no longer, this is how I do things, this is how that team does things. It's like, okay, how let's rethink. Let's shift. our mindsets here. And that's where there's been a shift in our, and you can see it in everybody's faces. We're all just like the gears the gears are turning, which is amazing. We were already a very creative team. I think this is just going to, a year from now, we're gonna go back and say, wow, what a difference. What a difference.
And then I just wanted to add to what Cass mentioned, but really emphasize on something that I've been thinking about. And it's we're not at a place where it's like there's like a finish line and we're past the finish line and it's like, yay, like we are there. No, I think this is like an ever evolving thing. And it's, yes, we got the team trained and we took these courses and those are the tools that we were given. But now it's like this will continue, like we have to reach another milestone. And I think it's just gonna be like that moving forward. It's our team will continue to, think of new courses to take or think of new opportunities as an organization. But it's not like we cross a finish line and the work is done. It's really gonna be moving forward like this.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. That's amazing. Okay, that was so helpful. And now we're moving on to one of my favorite parts of the show, which is addressing questions from the community. And I know, Cass, you're a champion, so I hope you're excited. But one thing that's really important for this podcast is bringing the community into the conversation. So we asked marketers who are experimenting with AI in their day to day to submit questions, and we got some great ones. So, the first question is from AJ Navarro, marketing automation manager at Sprout Social. And his question is, in marketing ops, we sit at the intersection of multiple teams and tech stacks. How do you think about empowering those connective tissue roles like marketing operations or revenue operations as literacy multipliers rather than just expecting literacy to trickle down from leadership or up from individual contributors?
I think that he kind of like answered his own question, right? Because it's not. Thank you, AJ, for your question. And the reason why I'm saying is because yes, it's I think AI literacy, we expect that leadership is going to create a roadmap that you're going to follow. Leadership can't spend hours and hours thinking of new ways that you can evolve or that you can learn, right? I think that's more of a personal responsibility. It's AI literacy. Yes, while leadership can give you a roadmap that you can follow, and I would expect all leadership. I'm going to tell from a leadership perspective is you better start working on this roadmap, because if you don't, people are going to go rogue and they're going to do their own thing. So you want to, not to control, but you want to have you want to have an idea of what everybody's going to be doing so that you ensure that there are no gaps between your employees and your different teams. You want to make sure that everybody's going at the same pace, because some of us take a little bit longer to learn than others. Some of us are quicker to experiment with tools than others. So you want to make sure that you have that roadmap so that everybody's growing at the same level. But at the same time, from a personal perspective, from someone who just wants to grow and wants to learn, know that AI is here. AI is here to stay. You better make time in your calendar and put it on your schedule to experiment with these tools, whether it's allowed for you to do it on your business hours. But if not, just go do it on your own. Go do it on your own personal time. You want to make sure that you're future prep and that you're ready for what's coming, because again, everybody's afraid that AI is going to take their jobs. If you don't learn how to use AI, it will. That someone else who knows how to use it will. That's what I'm trying to say. AI is not going to take it, but someone who knows how to use it will. So you have to make it your own personal goal to just learn and improve about it. And don't be afraid. Just go in there. What I tell everyone is, like, the worst thing that can happen is that you open ChatGPT You started a conversation, you didn't like the way it went, and you just open a new one and you start over, right? So there's really absolutely nothing to lose in trying. Don't give it your social security number, but try and experiment.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think back to that question that I to Cass's point, he answered that question kind of on his own. I think the great part, and it's a privilege, at least for me, it's something that I really love about being in the marketing technology team, is that we do get to see and work with other teams and understand how and their workflows and understand their roadblocks. And then we have to come up with or try to come up with a solution. So I think now with the use of AI and the way that we're going, I think it's not really about like this team does that and this team does that, to Cass's point from the previous question. It's about, both of these teams have an effect on each other. And I think being able to merge that, understanding each other's workflows and what one does and how it affects the other is really important, and especially moving forward. So I think that's like one of our biggest privileges. So it's really not about separating the teams, but it's about how do we connect them.
Okay, switching gears again, and before we get into rapid fire, which is really fun, I do want to spend a moment on the people listening. And again, people listening are their AI fluency is looks very different. But I think a lot of people in marketing right now who have been blessed with leadership being very supportive, like I want, you guys to be very AI driven. In your opinion, I would love to ask both of you, what's one shift that nobody is really talking about yet, but you think is coming?
Hmm. I think that we're starting to shift from just LLMs and chatting with GPT and asking it questions to actually building systems that and building teams with agents. So I don't think it's not something that it's I don't think it's something that nobody's talking about. I think everybody's talking about agents at the moment, but how agents are really going to disrupt the way that everybody works. So I'm not talking about agents that are going to, again, it's not about replacing, it's about enhancing the work. It's understanding that it's an additional tool in your tool belt that you can pull in order to do what you do better. I've experimented a lot with agents at the moment. The context that they can keep is very limited, even if you're paying for I'm using it for my own personal, not for Baptist, but I'm using it for my own personal um things that I work on. And even if I'm like at the highest tier that I'm paying for tokens, the context that they can keep is very limited. So I've had to build multiple agents to do multiple things, and it's not just as easy that I'm going to sit there, I'm going to train an agent and that's it. It's doing my work, right? It's doing my taxes. uh you really have to give it the right context, you really have to give it the right set of instructions, so you have to be the one who's providing that information, but let the agent tell you if there's maybe a better way of doing things, right? Like just let it use its imagination a little bit and then you can rein it in. Just let it open it up, right? So I think that's one of the areas that I don't, like I said, it's I don't know if it's the thing that nobody's talking about. I think it's the thing that everybody's talking about, but is the one thing that I've been experimenting with the most. And I'm if if we can get it to do the things that I'm thinking it can do, it really will change the way that we live, the way that we do business, the way that we do everything. And I'm really excited to see how Adobe is going to bring those agents into the tools, because it's going to be a game changer.
So I do think that that one shift is, and I'm going to try to say it right, but it's a democratization of AI. And
Hmm.
what I mean by this is back to your other question about the teams and how they work and how they can work together. I think it's if you're really good at something, now with AI, someone else can do that well too, right? So what and we're being given the tools to do it well as too. So I think now it's not just about being good at something. It's about being good at using the tools to create that something, but to maybe continue to improve it. Or I think we have to get creative now, because if you're a designer now with AI, I can create a design. I don't need a designer anymore, right? So it's not that I'm going to replace the designer, but now I have the tool to create that same design, maybe not at the same with maybe not at the same level, but we'll be surprised with the tools that we now have, like Adobe Firefly. uh I think now that we have more access to tools, we need to think differently at what we're good at and how we can provide value to an organization, because we're not the only ones that are good at that anymore.
This was such a good conversation. Okay, moving on to, and I'm going to switch things up, our rapid fire. So these are quick questions, quick answers, whatever comes to mind first. Okay, I know there's two of you, so maybe you guys can answer at the same time, or if you want to go one by one, that's totally fine. Okay,
Fun.
are you guys ready?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, perfect. First question. AI literacy programs fail most often because of bad content, no follow through, or wrong audience.
No
What?
follow through.
Oh, definitely. 1, 2, 3. No follow through.
Okay, second question. Most organizations treat AI literacy like a project, a priority, or a checkbox.
1, 2, 3.
I
A checkbox.
First investment in AI literacy goes to upskill leadership, empower frontline teams, or hire dedicated roles.
I'm gonna go with B.
upskill. Oh, I was gonna say upskill leadership.
Oh, okay. Disagreement there.
Oh, Tess, what was yours?
I guess I could go for either. I could go for either. And again, I'm it depends on the shoes that I'm wearing at the moment, right? I guess if I'm leadership, I want to make sure that I understand it and that I build that course for the rest of the teams. But I'm also thinking at a personal level, like you want to get ahead of these things. You don't want to wait. You want to get ahead of these things and you want to be ready for the changes that are coming. That wasn't rapid fire. That was just more.
I know. I was gonna have a upskilling leadership. I think it's important that leadership knows what the tools are capable, what you're able to do with the tools. So it's not like somebody creates something and you're completely shocked. No, you already know that the tool is that is what a tool does. And now it's like challenging those teams to do more with it. And then also being able to say, I don't I know how to use that tool, and now I'm expecting the team to also know. And then I don't know, I think upskill leadership for sure. But at every level, you don't have to do that because you're not in the C-suite or even a manager, that you're not gonna be, you treat yourself like a business too. Like you don't have to be in the actual position of leadership to consider yourself a leader. So I think that's important to clarify. Like to Cass's point, your personal growth, you are a leader in whatever you're doing.
No, I completely agree. I think you are a leader regardless of title. It really depends on what you're doing. This was such a good conversation. Thank you both so much for coming on the podcast. You've both just been going out there, doing the work, taking the courses, building the fluency, and you showed up curious. And that's exactly what this is about. How can people find you or connect with you, follow your work?
Oh, yes. I guess they can find me because I want them to find me in the Experience League.
I will say you can find me on LinkedIn, Lorena Malavet. I'm on LinkedIn.
Perfect.
I would love to connect.
Amazing. Okay. And to everyone listening, AI is not here to replace your thinking, it's here to expand it. But the real edge still comes from human curiosity, asking better questions, and knowing when and when not to use it. Thank you for joining us with Thinking with AI. We'll see you next time.